Talk this morning about something in
Washington to talk about. Let's talk. Tonight we're going to think. Let's take a look.
Hello, lovelies. I thought this morning, I sat in my office and I thought, you know what? I think it's about time we legalize marijuana. Hear me out for a second. We have to make a choice in this country. We either put people who are smoking marijuana behind bars or we legalize it. But this little game we're playing in the middle is not helping us, it is not helping Mexico, and it is causing massive violence on our southern border. We need to, how can I say this? Something or get off the pot. I'm just saying. Here's former Deputy Foreign Minister of Mexico, Andres Rosenthal. How are you, sir?
Hi, Glenn. I'm fine. Thanks very much.
You know, Mexico City is one of my favorite cities in the world. It is such a great city. I know you're there now, but it is a different world than the last time I was there, back in, I think, the early 1990s. And it's because of drug consumption. 50% of our the money going to these cartels is coming just from marijuana coming across our border. Is that right, sir?
Well, the statistics are, Glenn, that it's almost 60 or plus % of the total drug problem is related to marijuana exports and to marijuana being sold in the United States.
Okay. President, and this is what made me make this decision today, that we have to pick a side. There are people that say we should legalize marijuana in the states. President Bush said you can't do that because I'm going to enforce the federal laws. President Obama said I'm not going to change the laws, but I'm not going to enforce them. This is ridiculous. We either need to enforce our laws or change the laws. You believe that we're looking at sort of an Al Capone kind of scenario with drugs and prohibition. Could you explain that?
Well, I think there are a lot of parallels between the situation that's going on today and the situation that took place during Prohibition in the United States. Having made alcohol sales illegal to the public, what happened was that the criminal organizations got a hold of the business, not only of that business, but a lot of other businesses related to illegality. And it wasn't until Prohibition was repealed and alcohol sales were legalized, controlled, taking care that they weren't sold to minors and so on, that it was easier to get rid of these criminal gangs. And I think what we have is the same situation right now with drugs, especially with marijuana. As it happens, in the U.S., there is a tremendous demand for consumption. And if you leave it as something which is illicit, then the criminals will get a hold of it. They'll make a lot of money, as they have, billions and billions of dollars, in selling this to consumers in the United States. And the consequence is what we're living here in Mexico, which is this tremendous drug-fueled violence when the government has decided to go against these traffickers.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Here in America, people will say, you can't arrest people smoking pot because it's a victimless crime. Could you explain how it's not a victimless crime?
Well, as long as it's on the books, as long as it is formally illegal, then, of course, you have the problem that you started out with, which is this hypocrisy of having a law on the books which is not being enforced. It still makes the illegality a great subject for criminals to get involved in. There's a lot of money to be made. While if you took the drugs and discriminated among them and decided that if people want to smoke marijuana the way they smoke tobacco or the way they drink alcohol, then why not legalize it, regulate it, make sure that the purity is what it should be, make sure that it pays taxes rather than fill the pockets of criminal gangs, and then be much more reasonable and rational about the way you deal with these things.